Okay, so you know the old jokes about Lucas, Prince of Darkness, British cars, they're usually on the side of the road. I didn't set this up, but I did want to show you a Bristol this trip. Here, we've got a Bristol. Now, for those of you who don't know a Bristol, this is a very hand-built, very old school. Some could call it a British sports car. I wouldn't. I would call it a GT. It is a very big car. Think of it as like old school Bentley, when Bentley was building cars like back in 1963. That is the technology of a vehicle like this. It is big, it is fast, it's got a big engine, it gets like 2.5 miles to the gallon. It's beautiful on the inside, as you can see. It's all done very, like, look at this. It's got this beautiful like racing bespoke gauges in there. It's even got a leather pole on the wooden dash. But here's the catch. And again, I didn't make this up. The car is broken down, waiting for a tow. And yeah, Prince of Darkness, here in London, parked in the double yellow. And now for something completely different, post-production. Now, for those of you that have been wondering, yes, I am the one that does the editing on the show, and number two, even though I'm on the road, still have to do the editing. So what I'm doing here is setting up the project after getting back from Spain. So this is all the footage for the XC60 as well as this travelogue episode. I've put it into one project. So the first step is to actually get all the footage. I back it up into, like, I worked at Apple many years. They beat into our heads that you got to back up. I back up like 3-4 times. And then after I do that, I set up the bins of the project here. And then I go to the point of having to sync the audio, because I'm a bit of a stickler on the audio. So what I do is I always capture the audio separate. I never use the camera audio. So in this case, this is just insert. So yeah, there's camera audio here, but I usually rip that out. In this case, I'm looking at a select from Munich Airport.
I've been waiting to see if you would come around. Since day breaking until the sun burnt out.
London ain't all Nando's, it ain't all food, and it ain't all cars.
Yeah.
This was our ritual.
Oh,
Three
yeah.
parks.
3 parks indeed.
But here,
This is basically the temple of the richest people in the city, owning the most beautiful houses I have seen in my life.
in
And
other
it
words,
used to be,
embassies.
it used to be all embassies. Now it's turned into mega rich.
Wait a minute, some of these are private now?
They are, most of them.
Okay, he's just surprised.
Hackleson lives around.
When I lived here, my office was just across from Embassy Row, and these were all embassies, what was that, 15 years ago?
It was probably. Yeah.
How, like, this is Russia here.
This is Mother Russia.
Mother Russia.
Mother Russia is here. And there is Japan.
Over there, somewhere over there.
Somewhere.
Sorry for
And
the shaky video.
France. Nous avons de la patrie.
Viva la France!
This is now private.
This is private.
This is private. This is a private.
Holy crap, look at the size of
private.
that. And
And so
that
is that
backs
one.
up, give you an idea, that backs up onto Hyde Park, right behind where Princess Di used to live. But then more of the stuff you'd be interested in is this. So this is a great snapshot of how to do the editing for the in-car scenes. Now when you see them, it's 5 cameras that go at once. I mount 5 cameras at a time. So what I've got here now in this sequence is 2 of those cameras synced. And then notice there's a bunch of different tracks for the audio. Now once again, I don't use any of the camera audio, so like any one of the mounts that's looking outside the car. I actually capture the audio separately by miking the car. Even electric cars, because I'm a big believer in when your eyes are looking outside the car, it needs to sound somewhat different than this shot, which is what I call my A shot, the one looking across like you're the passenger. This A shot would sound different than the exterior shot, and I feel very strongly that your brain processes it differently. It makes it more natural. And then this is the B shot that you guys know well, which is the one looking forward. And then after this, once I've actually synced all the cameras, I go through, pick out the selects, then I go through and put the rough assembly together, and then it's the final assembly, and then the actual, all the detailing, adjusting the volume, the color correction, all that kind of stuff, and then do the export and upload. Okay, I want to show you this car first, but look at this kid's ice cream. Man, that thing is awesome. I want one of those things. That's why I run.
I'm afraid it's kids only.
Okay, now that we've covered ice cream, we got to talk about where the ice cream comes from. So I lived here 3 years. I've never seen one of these things in my life. I would call it a Rolls-Royce ice cream truck, but it's a Rolls-Royce ice cream car. Come here, let's check it out. So you could clearly tell this was built off of a Rolls-Royce. I love the ingenuity of the Brit. This is kind of like Caractacus Potts himself from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang made an ice cream truck. And look, it's actually officially sanctioned by the Royal Parks. Come here. So Manu and I are taking a break from our the Hyde Park portion of our 3-park run. And check this thing out. How old is this thing?
1928, I think.
So it's a 1928.
No, 32, sorry.
32. Okay. This is awesome. So this was a Hooper-bodied Rolls-Royce, and then they put this body for ice cream. And you're doing soft serve here?
Yeah.
Only in England will you get your soft serve ice cream served up by a Rolls-Royce on a beautiful, sunshiny summer day. Trend here in Old London. You see that row house behind me? Looks like any nondescript row house, but it is a very fancy area of town. I'm in the borough of Chelsea. Well, the new trend, actually it's not so new, it's been going on for quite a while. You see like the frontage they got there, it's like it's boarded up, and then it looks like they're excavating. It's got this like conveyor belt that's going at diagonal up out of the house. They are excavating. Turns out like the thing to do nowadays in London is to buy one of these row houses or a townhouse and then dig out a basement. And then what they do more often than not is put a swimming pool in the basement of these row houses. This is the new hotness. Okay, we're at a critical juncture in the run. So there are 3 parks that we do. There's Hyde Park, which is the biggest. There's Green Park, and then St. James Park. We just got out of Green Park, and we crossed over in front of Buckhouse. We're paying our respects to Elizabeth Regina. We're saying hello to her. And Manu, what you guys don't know about Manu, he is now a British citizen.
Oh yes.
After being here, what, 20 years?
Yep.
So this is now his queen, even though he doesn't speak the Queen's English.
Not at all.
So congratulations
Thank you so much.
on your citizenship.
Actually, at the ceremony, they asked me to sing along the national anthem. Like everyone else, yes. And I clearly made a negotiation mistake.
You realize what's going to happen now?
Yeah.
You have to sing it.
No, I'm just going to sing something like Rule Britannia, Britannia rule the waves. Britons never ever will be slaves.
Okay, on that note, we are going to St. James Park. So Manu and I finished our run. Now it's time to partake of the feast. Now, yes, you've seen us go to Nando's. There are many other places I could take you to in London, just don't have enough time. This is kind of like our soul food here. This was like my neighborhood joint that me and Manu used to meet at. and we'd get all sorts of like Lebanese soul food. So let's start with the halloumi cheese, which is like it's like a salty white cheese. Fantastic. They put it on the grill for a little bit, and then a Greek. So you got to get a little feta cheese. There's some feta cheese in there. And then here's the fattoush salad, which is this. They basically cook these things up, so they're like almost these thin pieces of toast that go into this great salad. And then of course, can't forget, you got to have a little hummus. Now this is just the appetizer, so we're going to dive into this. We'll come back to you when the main course comes. So a little behind the scenes in the London portion of this trip. We all know that London is a great car spotting city, and this was evidenced by the fact that the very first block that I walked down, as soon as I stepped off the plane, there was a 675 LT, not one but two Ferrari FFs, and the Holy Grail, an Oscar India Aston Martin. If you don't know what that is, highly suggest you Google it. It's the second Aston Martin that made me fall in love with the brand, and I definitely want one day. So what I thought was, in these little stand-ups going around town looking for cars, that we'd go back to that same neighborhood, find that car, and we'd talk about why an Oscar India is one of the best Aston Martins out there. Well, of course, it's gone, even though I'm back in that neighborhood. So the only thing that I could find interesting, of course, aside from the sheer ridiculous volume of Ferrari FFs and Porsche 911 Turbo S's specifically, it's like those are the Ford Taurus and like the Chevy Impala of the London world. But what I did find was a 66 Chevelle, as in Chevrolet, under a tarp behind me. Now, the other fun fact about the block I'm on, I can't guarantee that this is still the case, but 15 years ago, this was the block that Mick Jagger lived on. So it's entirely possible, or plausible, that that is Mick's car. Okay, so I barely got through the hummus. We still have 2 pieces of halloumi left, which is the bomb, but check out what just turned up. So we've got homemade authentic falafel, and then this is the mixed grill. However, we kind of bounce back and forth depending on our mood. Usually, what was it, like half time, we usually do the shish tawuk, which is just the chicken. But today we decided, because I guess a Greek visiting London, we're doing the chicken and the lamb. They even threw in some peppers for me special. And we still haven't even got to the fattoush. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys now and get chowing down here, because this is kind of like my last meal in London. Although we have one more place to go. And if you're lucky, we'll shoot there too. But something tells me we won't get there because this is just too much food. So Captain Rick and I decided to switch seats. He's taking 2A, I'm taking the left seat. I'm taking the whole thing back to LAX. You got to know where you're going. I think I know where I'm going. Can we take the long way so I get a little extra time behind the... We are. We're going way up over Canada today. Okay, awesome. We'll say hello to people, my friends in Toronto on the way back. Thank you, Captain Rick. You got it, man. Have a good ride.